All right, I think we're live. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all having a good day. Today, we're going to go over some questions by a YouTuber called Cyber James. I found these series pretty interesting, and I wanted to go over it with you guys and or who's ever watching. Yeah, I thought this was very insightful information, and um, wanted to share with the audience. So let's give it a go.
First question here. All right, question one. A network administrator notices unusual traffic patterns on the company's internal network. Users have reported slow internet speeds and intermittent connectivity issues. The administrator suspects a cyber attack and decides to investigate further. Which type of cyber attack is most likely responsible for the symptoms described in this scenario?
Okay. Premise here is network admin notices unusual traffic. Okay. On the company's internal network. Okay. The user has reported slow internet speeds. All right. Intermediate connectivity issues. The admin suspects cybersecurity attack. Decides to investigate further. Okay. What type of cybersecurity attack is most likely responsible for the system symptoms described in the scenario? So let's try to break down the question here and answer. Um, Um, so the symptoms are that the user has reported slow internet speeds and intermediate connectivity issues. So disconnecting could be a potential one. The administrator suspects an attack. Okay, um, definitely at any time some uh, internet connectivity or connectivity to a service is cut off intermediately, um, and speeds are slow. This is a this is an attack from multiple angles. And what I mean from multiple angles, I mean like a mass of connections spamming the web server, causing it to slow down, causing performance to not be like as it should be. So I think the correct answer here is B, a DDoS attack. Let's see if we're right.
We have A, ransomware attack, B, DDoS attack. There's nothing in the scenario for the attack on the company's internal network, and users have reported slow internet speeds and intermittent. It's going to be something that's continuously happening, and it will definitely slow internet speeds to kind of get rid of that. Yep. B. In the scenario described, the symptoms of slow internet speeds and intermittent connectivity issues are indicative, whatever that means, of distributed denial of service, also known as a DDoS attack, which
Yep,
overwhelms a network of service, making it unavailable to users.
great. That one we did get. So let's move on to the next one. An organization is revamping its account management policies to enhance security. They want to ensure that the users are assigned the least privilege necessary. So this means they only have what they need to do their role, and have strong authentication mechanisms in place. Okay, which of the following security controls should be implemented to enforce the principle of least privilege during the account management? Um, Yeah, assign the user roles and permissions based on their job requirements. B would be the answer here. Um, in least privilege, you really only have access to what you need in regards to permissions and your roles defined um, in something like Active Directory, um, and you're assigned to a group that's managed by the administrator of the of the environment. Um, in this case, maybe like 80, for example. So I think the correct answer here is B. Let's kind of skip through here, see if we got it.
To least privilege. So I'm going to go with B. Yep.
Two for two. Okay. I think we can keep going here. Um, To enforce the principle of least privilege during account management, it is essential to assign user roles and permissions based on their job requirements. This ensures that users have access only to the resources and permissions necessary for their specific tasks, reducing the risk of unauthorized access or misuse. Okay, let's go on to question three. Question three. A company wants to implement secure communication between its remote offices over the internet. Okay, so something uh, like a WAN, or the users assign a laptop and then they VPN or tunnel in uh, via whatever internet connection internet connection they have to the corporate network. Let's keep reading here. They plan to use encryption to protect the data in transit, which PKI or public key infrastructure, meaning private keys and public keys. That's the context here. Which PKI component is responsible for ensuring the authenticity and integrity of digital certificates issued by a CA. So I think we had a similar question like this in one of the Professor Messer videos. Um, unfortunately I'm not live streaming those because um, I don't want to uh, go over someone else's content, kind of like I'm doing here. But these are just questions. I'm not trying to play the video in full, but I digress. Which PKI component is responsible for ensuring the authenticity and integrity of digital certificates issued by a CA? I believe this would be a registration authority. Or, well, let's think about this one. We might get this one wrong. Yeah, I think it's registration authority. I could be wrong here, but I don't think in this scenario public key or private key would be the right answer. So I'm going with A.
Kitty. Good.
Let's just skip through here until we get to the final pieces.
On that list. So
Ooh, we
that's
got it wrong, guys. Okay, so the answer is certificate revocation list, or CRL. Okay, so we need to brush up on these type of questions. Is responsible for ensuring the authenticity and integrity of digital certificates issued by ACA. It contains a list of certificates that contains a list of certificates that have been revoked or are no longer valid because their expiration. Okay, let's practice on our reading today. It contains a list of certificates that have been revoked or are no longer valid before their expiration date. This helps to prevent the use of compromised or unauthorized certificates. Okay, question
the
three,
certificate.
we did not get right. Let's move on. Question four. Um, an organization needs to secure its Wi-Fi network to prevent unauthorized access. They want to implement a security method that provides strong encryption and authentication. Which wireless protocol offers the strongest security for the organization's Wi-Fi? Um, well, this this is a way to gain access to the network, without a passcode. This is a old standard, WEP, and then there's a WPA, and then WPA2, which is the latest one in this list, and is the one that a lot of not current, but older. I'd say seven, well, maybe like 5-year-old tech would be using. In the networking space, I think the correct answer here is C, offers the strongest security for an organization's Wi-Fi. Let's skip through here. Yep, C. In context of securing Wi-Fi networks, WPA2 or Wi-Fi Protected Access 2 is considered to offer the strongest security among the options provided. WPA2 uses the advanced encryption standard AES for encryption and provides robust security features compared to older protocols like WEP wired equivalent privacy. WEP also has a bunch of security problems. It can be brute forced, which is not good. Uh, let's move on. Question five. A company is preparing for a third party security assessment to identify vulnerabilities. Okay, so they're doing a security assessment. Um, and it's web application. Okay, so web application security assessment. The goal is to proactively address any issues before they can be exploited by attackers, which phase of the security assessment process involves actively probing and testing the web application for vulnerabilities and weaknesses. Um, this would be pen testing. This is what a pen tester usually does. They actively try to exploit the server or the endpoint by doing these things, by actively probing and testing the application for vulnerabilities and weaknesses. And after they find it, then exploit it or document it, depending on what they have been assigned to do. And black hats versus white hats versus gray hat, there's some delineation there. A black hat will actually try to exploit uh, the weakness or the vulnerability for nefarious reasons, for illegal reasons, um, and then a white hat will be hired under an organization uh, to uh, uh, to do pen testing. So there'll be some instructions on what to do, some guidelines set up as to what not to do, and then a gray hat is like the in between, where they're more like vigilantes, hacktivists, um, and they are hacking for a greater purpose. There's some ethics and morals involved in gray hat hacking. But I digress there. I think the answer here is C. Yep. In the security assessment process, actively probing and testing a web application for vulnerabilities and weaknesses is typically carried out during the penetration testing phase. Penetration testing involves simulating real-world attacks to identify vulnerabilities and assess the security posture of a system or application. Okay. You are a security admin for a large healthcare organization. Okay. So you got to know HIPAA, right? Um, Healthcare Portability Act, Privacy and Portability Act. Um, you are tasked with assessing and improving the security posture of your organization's network. You begin by reviewing the organization's security policies and procedures. You identify several areas where improvement is needed. One area of concern is that the organization's password policy is weak, okay? Requiring passwords to be only 8 characters, okay? So a relatively old password policy. I think 8 characters, I'm trying to remember, 8 character passwords weren't uh, uh, weren't a requirement until trying to remember when they were instantiated. I can't remember, but I know many organizations back in the day used to set 8 characters, and then some applications only allowed 8 characters, 8 character password. So, um, this is again, if reading this question, that password policy is extremely old and weak, and there's way too many ways to uh, get the password through something like a brute force or something like pass the hash or um, uh, various ways that the password could be cracked, but cracking a password, usually we kind of hint at a brute force or dictionary attack, kind of password spraying as well, to try to get the credentials. Um, which of the following is the most important step you should take to improve the security posture of your organization? Well, um, implement a more robust password policy. The password policy needs to be updated. Uh, yeah, I think that's a correct answer here. Deploy security patches. Well, no. Implement network intrusion detection systems. No, I think the correct answer here is B. Let's see if.
Question 6.
Oops. Let's go back to our previous view, and then let's skip through this. Yep. The most important step you should take to improve security posture of your organization is to implement a more robust security policy. A weak password password policy is one of the most common security vulnerabilities, and it can be exploited by attackers that gain access to your network and systems. All right. Question 7. What your company uses a cloud-based SaaS application to manage its customer relationship uh, management data, CRM. The CRM uh, application contains a sensitive customer data or contains sensitive customer data such as names, addresses, and credit card information. You are concerned about the security of the CRM application and you want to take steps to protect the data from unauthorized access. Which of the following is the best way to protect the CRM application from unauthorized access? Um, okay, so your company uses a cloud-based SaaS application to manage its CRM. Okay, so the CRM contains sensitive customer information, so PII, personal identifiable information, uh, such as names. Okay, yep. What you are concerned about the security of the CRM application. You want to take steps to protect the data from unauthorized access. Okay. Which of the following is the best way to protect the CRM application from unauthorized access? So this would be a. This would be an encryption question. Encrypt the CRM application's database at rest and in transit. Yeah. Implement TLS and then uh, run a full disk encryption on the data on the storage devices. We wouldn't really be implementing an awareness program. This is more for people. MFA, well, that wouldn't really stop the data from being leaked. There's ways around MFA. Application firewall in front of the CRM application. Well, yep, that would stop the I guess intrusive access, right, to the application, and then block any prevent any attacks from happening. But I think the correct answer here is you would encrypt the data because we're definitely focused on data here in this question. Not really unusual traffic going on or something. It is a web app, so that is a would can stump people here, but I think the correct answer is C. After all my blabbing there, let's see. Yep, the primary concern in this scenario is unauthorized access to sensitive customer data. Yep, encryption directly tackles this issue by making the data itself impenetrable to unauthorized individuals, even if they manage to circumvent other security measures. All right, let's move on. Your company is subject to a number of industry-specific regulations, such as GDPR and the PCI DSS You are responsible for ensuring that your company complies with all applicable regulations. Which of the following is the best way to ensure that your company complies with all applicable regulations? Um, yeah, this seems more like a policy thing. Whenever we're dealing with regulations and trying to get the company in line with those regulations, policies need to be set up by leadership or compliance, the compliance team, or security. I mean, really depends on what you call them. But IT at large needs to work on yeah, developing security policies and procedures that are aligned with all the applicable regulations. Those policies align, then your organization aligns, and therefore the technologies under those policies will also align along with uh, the people working with those technologies. So organization at large needs to align. So B, I think is the correct answer here. Let's see. Oh, we got it wrong. Okay, let's see. Conduct a regular assessment and implement appropriate security controls. Hmm. Okay. Why is that the case? The best way to ensure that your company complies with all applicable regulations is to conduct regular risk assessments and implement appropriate security controls. I guess. Let's hear what James has to say here. This one. I would like better clarification on this one.
Sense there, and implement appropriate security with all applicable regulations is to conduct regular risk assessments and implement appropriate security controls. Perfect. So the only issue I have with B not being the answer is that when it comes to GDPR and PCI DSS, you don't the security policies are already made, so you're not developing those. And for A, conduct regular risk assessments and implement appropriate security controls. Conducting regular risk assessments is required for both the PCI DSS and GDPR regulations. So that makes sense there. And implement appropriate security controls. I think that second part is the key there. I'm going to go with A.
Okay, that was a good explanation on James's part. Yeah, I think we just didn't get that one because we're kind of I was harping on security policies matching the regulations, but James makes a good point. James said security policies are already in these regulations, so you wouldn't need to recreate them. You just need to assess whether you are at risk of not complying with them, and along with that, implement appropriate security controls. So that's how we answered eight. So get that one wrong. Let's move on. You're monitoring the security logs of your company's network. When you notice a spike in traffic from a suspicious IP address, you investigate the traffic and determine that it is a denial of service DOS attack. Which of the following is the most important thing you should do to respond to the DOS attack? Um, yeah. Um, yeah, this one I'm kind of leaning towards C as the correct answer here. But they do notice the IP address, so it you know either the firewall would block it or you would block it. There's no remnants of a web app being used here, so Yeah, this is like a an incident that could trigger, like, on call, for example. You know, someone could get paged for this, and then they'd have to go and, come online, and if they see this, I mean, stop the bleeding first, and then analyze, uh, what's going on, if you're able to. Identify the problems, stop the bleeding, and um, then go from there. I'd say A would be the correct answer here. Let's see. Could be wrong. Yep. Blocking the malicious IP address of the firewall is the most direct and effective way to stop the incoming flood of traffic that's overwhelming your system. It immediately cuts off the attack source, reducing the strain on your network and servers. Yeah, got it right. So let's move on. You're you're a security analyst for a financial institution. During a routine vulnerability scan, you discover a critical zero-day vulnerability in a core database application. The vendor has not yet released a patch, and the exploit code is publicly available. Which of the following actions is most appropriate to mitigate the risk while a patch is unavailable? Uh, yeah, you would isolate the vulnerable applications in a segmented network to limit exposure. I don't think you would just disable it. I don't think you can disable the database application. It seems there. They even tell you here it's a core database application, so just turning it off, I don't think is a good idea. That would affect business operations. Um, Vendor has not released a patch, and yeah, so you would isolate this particular application. Going with D. Let's see if we're right. Yep, D is the most appropriate because offers the best balance between immediate risk mitigation and maintaining business continuity. Isolating the vulnerable applications reduces its attack surface, minimizing the potential damage, and allowing you to keep it running while awaiting a patch. All crucial factors in a critical zero-day vulnerability scenario. A network administrator notices a significant increase in DNS requests originating from a specific internal device. Upon investigation, they find that the device is a legitimate endpoint, but not normally engage in high DNS activity. Okay, upon investigation, they find the device is a legitimate endpoint, but not normally engaged in high DNS activity. Okay, which of the following actions is the most appropriate next step in the solution? Network admin notices a significant increase in DNS requests. Okay, originating from specific internal device. Okay, device is legitimate, but not normally engaged in high DNS activity. Okay, so it's something that usually doesn't have a bunch of activity, but it just randomly does. Um, After the network admin, well, yeah, it started having a bunch more activity, and then the network admin noticed that, uh, immediately disconnect the device when network can prevent malware spread. Uh, yeah, you would immediately take this device out of the environment, because it could be potential malware on the device. So to reduce any of the attack surface of the malware, you would remove or isolate the device off the network. Oh, with A here. Ooh, okay. Okay. So answer here is C. Analyze the DNS request for malicious domains or patterns. Well, I guess you could do that. Hmm. They do have an argument for A, but let's see.
Just domains or patterns. I'm leaning more towards that because this is kind of like a issue with it yet. Um, for that, for B, it's kind of like A. We don't know if it's malware. We're not really sure exactly what's going on with it yet.
Right. Okay.
And if it's something that can support antivirus, it should have already had that. C, analyze the DNS request for malicious domains or patterns. I'm leaning more towards that because this is kind of like a, if you're looking at, you know, the steps of triaging, things like that, you're still in the analyze phase. You don't know what's going on yet.
Right. Right. I guess I jumped the gun here, and I just assumed it was malware without any indication of it being malware. Uh, Bad on my part. Yeah. That's a that's a good note. That's a good note. When you do when you do a bunch of security questions, you're immediately just just thinking bad. everything is just everything is bad, right? But in reality, this would affect business operations if someone took my advice and just disconnected the device or isolated it. So good to know that uh, this was the correct answer and that I was wrong. Uh, but if it was malicious, take it off the network, right? Or segment it. So I was not talking to anything else. Let's move on. Uh, you're a security analyst for a large healthcare organization. After a recent phishing attack, you have been tasked with enhancing email security. Your top priority is to prevent future phishing attempts and protect sensitive patient data. Well, it sounds like a security awareness question. Uh, Educate employees on how to identify and report phishing. Implement firewall to block malicious email traffic. Uh, Deploy an intrusion detection system to monitor for suspicious activity, implement a secure email gateway SEG with advanced threat protection features. Yeah, um, I mean, I kind of would do like D and A. I'd implement D to help prevent the attempt from happening, but then I'd also educate my staff or staff at the company through various security awareness training programs that would be set up at the company. So this one is a little tricky. I think B and C wouldn't be correct here. Yeah, I think I'll just go with implementing the secure email gateway because it does prevent the phishing attempt, but I guess it doesn't stop a phishing email from being received and an employee opening it up and clicking it. I guess I'm wondering if you could even fully prevent phishing in the first place. Uh, I don't think you can. I think phishing will always be around. It's just in what way are you phishing? I'll go with D here. after some long thought.
Large.
Let's see the answer. Yeah, it's D. All right, redemption. Seg with advanced threat persistence is the best option with ATP. Okay, under I don't know if that's just uh there's a different term there. Seg with ATP, advanced threat protection. So there is a, for context on the Security Plus, there is a uh, uh, there is a uh, uh, advanced, I believe, advanced threat persistence, right? Or sorry, oh my goodness, I'm I got it backwards. APT is a advanced persistent threats. ATP is uh, advanced threat protection. Okay, okay, clear that up in my head. Sorry, I just I just needed that quick mental correction there. SEG with advanced threat protection is the best option because it directly scans emails for threats using multiple layers to catch all types of phishing and acts proactively to shield the user from uh, every tricky uh, attack. Okay, let's move on. You are a security analyst at the large e-commerce company. You discovered a series of SQL injection attacks targeting your customer database. Okay. Your attackers have been able to extract sensitive customer information, including credit card numbers and addresses, which of the following attacks would be most effective in mitigating this vulnerability and preventing future attacks on this type. Uh, so we got so I guess the security analyst has identified that there are a series of SQL injection attacks, right, to the customer database, and then saying that the attacker could have done these things. Which of the following would be most effective in mitigating this vulnerability and preventing future attacks of this type? So, what can we implement to uh, mitigate this vulnerability? These are all, if you if for anyone who's new to IT, all of these would seem like they would kind of intermix, but MFA would be something that's not applicable here, just due to the question. Right? We're trying to mitigate a SQL injection attack from happening again to the database. Um, and indicate that we're a large e-commerce company, so that means we have a website or we sell stuff online. Uh, I think the correct answer here would be we would deploy a web application firewall because a WAF would detect a SQL injection attack and immediately block it. And let's see what the correct answer here is.
Commerce company.
Yeah, let's be the WAF specifically. Okay, while all options improve security, a WAF specifically addresses the SQL injection attack by analyzing and filtering web traffic for malicious patterns. It acts as a shield, preventing attacks from reaching the application, even if the vulnerability exists. Other options focus on different aspects like authentication testing or encryption, but don't directly block SQL injections. Okay. Uh, your security analyst. Okay, so we did this question. I'm just backing up here, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Okay? So, question 14. Uh, you're a security consultant. Um, for a company experiencing a sudden surge in spam emails, and network congestion. IT suspects a botnet infection within the company's systems. Which of the following attacks would be most effective in mitigating the botnet threats and restoring network functionality? So, our security consultants, we notice our company is experiencing a sudden surge in spam emails and network congestion. Okay. IT suspects a botnet infection within the company systems. Which of the following would actions would be most effective in mitigating the botnet threat and restoring network functionality? So in this case, we're we're already infected, right? That's a suspicion here. So since we're already infected, we would probably need to scan all the systems for malware and isolate the infected devices. That way, removing the bot's net hold on the network and reducing its attack surface. Uh, yeah, I think D would be the correct answer here. It has nothing to do with emails, so I don't think A would be the correct one. Choosing prevention systems is, well, if we're noticing unusual traffic, that's where an IPS would be useful. Uh, and then passwords. This question has nothing to do with passwords, so I think we're going with D here.
For company.
Yep, D is the best option because it directly addresses the root cause botnet infection by identifying and isolating compromised machines by preventing further spread and damage. Other options focus on symptoms, spam, network congestion, or prevention, but don't tackle the active infection. Uh, you're a security analyst at a cloud based company. You're investigating a potential breach where an unauthorized user address sensitive customer files. The logs revealed the attacker used a stolen API key to gain access. Which of the following actions would be most effective in preventing similar attacks in the future? Okay, so let's reread the question. Okay, security analyst at a cloud-based company. Okay, you're investigating a potential breach, right? So we don't know if it is or not. Uh, where an unauthorized user access customer files. Okay, the log reveals the attacker. So now this is what we see as the analysts. The log reveals the attacker used a stolen API key to gain access. Okay, so this has been confirmed. Which of the following actions would be most effective and preventing similar attacks in the future. Yeah, A sounds like the correct answer here. Enforce strict key rotation policy and revoke compromised keys immediately. Because uh, if the key is not active, this won't be a problem. But that key is, I assume that key is persistent, which means it doesn't expire and it's permanent. So they always can come back and attack the network. But there was a rotation policy, and the keys got revoked uh, after identifying that it was being used to grab specific files. Uh, yeah, so this is where I think A would be the correct answer. Yep. Directly addresses the attacker's method stolen API key by making stolen keys less valuable and limiting their lifespan, preventing unauthorized access, even if compromised. Other options focus on different attack vectors or general security, but don't address API key misuse. You are a security engineer for a healthcare organization that recently implemented bringing, well, a BYOD, bring your own device policy. Okay, so you're an engineer. You're an engineer for a healthcare organization, okay, that recently implemented. So you implemented a BYOD policy. However, you're concerned about the potential security risks associated with employees using personal devices to access sensitive patient data. Okay, right? As most IT people would. Which of the following security measures would be most effective in mitigating these risks? Uh, yeah, uh, implement a mobile device management uh, solution to enforce security policies. I believe B would be the correct answer here. I could see how some people would answer A because the data would be encrypted, but I think B is the correct answer here by looking at the other ones and kind of eliminating and using the context of the question. BYOD is, I mean, so like your laptop comes into into the corporate network and connects to it, and then uh, the way to go about this, you would need an MDM solution. And that also goes with phones and tablets as well. If you're bringing your own phone, if that's the policy here, I think B is the correct answer. Yep. MDMs provide centralized control over BYOD devices, ensuring compliance with security policies and protecting sensitive data, even on personal devices. Other options offer partial protection but lack the comprehensive control and remote management capabilities of MDM. All right, let's move on. Your your network admin for okay, you are a network admin for a small business that recently experienced several instances of unauthorized access to the company's server. Okay, the company's servers. The log indicates the attackers are using stolen credentials to log in remotely. All right. Which of the following are best ways to prevent unauthorized access using stolen credentials? Uh, yeah, so if your credentials are stolen, there needs to be another way for you to authenticate or rather a chain of authentications happening for you to get access to the server. This is why uh, things like two-factor are enabled, or MFA is enabled multi-factor authentication. So I think the correct answer here is C, where either a PIN is sent to your phone or you have a hardware token device that gives you a key or a token. Uh, Usually it's like something you know, or it could be biometric, something you are, or something you have, like a key card or a smart card. So what C is the correct answer here. Yep, MFA directly addresses the attack vectors of stolen credentials by requiring additional verification beyond just a password, significantly reducing the risk of unauthorized access, even if the credentials are compromised. Other options focus on general security or detection, but don't directly prevent access with stolen credentials. You are a security consultant for a company that recently suffered a data breach. The investigation uh, reveals the attackers use a social engineering tactic called tailgating. Okay. To gain physical access to companies' offices, then plugged a rogue device into the network to steal data. Okay. Which of the following security measures would be most effective in preventing similar attacks? So, tailgating just means that you are being followed very closely, and as you open a door, someone quickly followed behind you, right? Or as you scan your key card, open the door, the other person went in with you, right? So that's what tailgating is. Um, um, so in preventing this attack, is we would need to set up a physical security control, including mandatory visitor badges and access logs. I think B is the correct answer here. Yep. Other options focus on network security or awareness, but don't stop physical intrusion. Yep. 19, you're a security analyst at a company that uses hybrid cloud infrastructure. You've discovered a misconfigured cloud storage bucket that has been uh, accidentally made public. Uh, Accidentally made public, potentially exposing sensitive data. Okay, so cloud storage bucket. So something like in storage buckets are, uh, are things in the cloud. So AWS, Azure, GCP, um, Google Cloud Platform is GCP. Um, so in here, which of the following actions would be most effective in mitigating the immediate risk and preventing similar incidents in the future? Uh, yeah, implement a cloud access security broker to monitor and control cloud activity. I think that'd be the correct answer here. Going with A. Let's see if we got it. Oh, it's B. Okay, interesting. Made public. Encrypt all sensitive data stored in the cloud. Okay. Encryption immediately protects the exposed data, even access for rendering it unreadable and unauthorized. Users other options prevent or other options address prevention or detection, but do not protect already exposed data. I see. Which of the following actions would be most effective in mitigating the immediate risk? Right. Um, Encrypting all the data, right? So because it's already public and making sure that it doesn't that access doesn't uh, get to it. Now, I'm trying to remember a a CASB or a CASB does provide security policy enforcement. Uh, I guess I'm unsure if it deals with buckets, but in this scenario, the question was asking us most effective in mitigating the immediate risk. I think the correct answer here would be B. But you know, we will note that one down.
If
And this is a great example of how reading a question can be interpreted differently. These questions are meant to trick you in the Sec Plus. Uh, so there we go. I got tricked, and can happen to you as well. Just make sure you really read what question they're asking at the end, uh, uh, or you'll get it wrong. You're a security analyst at a healthcare organization that just experienced a ransomware attack. Okay, the attacker encrypted the sensitive data, sensitive patient records, and are demanding a large ransom payment in exchange for the decryption key. Which of the following actions would be the most appropriate initial response to this incident? Uh, well, I think we would isolate the affected systems to prevent the spread of ransomware, and then anything that we have lost, uh, we would restore from backups. I think the initial response would be like stop the bleeding, right? Uh, so gonna go with D. Hopefully we get it the last one. Come on. Yeah, we got it. All right. Containment is crucial in the early stages of ransomware attacks to limit damage and prevent further infection. Paying the ransom is not guaranteed to restore data and could encourage future attacks, while disaster recovery and law enforcement involvement are important. Immediate containment is the priority to protect the systems and data. Cool. Yeah. No, these are great, Cyber James. I think these are really good questions. I got stumped on some of them, just due to my poor reading, probably. um, uh, um, or maybe reading the question too quickly, or hyper focusing on a single section. But I think all test takers that happens to. I don't think you read the question in full all the time. Uh, there's some you'll just get stumped in, and that feeling is just worse during test day. So try to get as high of a score as possible on your practice exams. 90 and above, I would recommend, and you know, uh, uh, so that when test day comes and all the jitters and angst are there, and you reading through a question very quickly due to time constraints, all those things, if those do happen, you're still able to pass the exam. So that was week one. Cyber James has a week two, I believe. Yeah, we have a week
welcome to
we have a week two posted 2 weeks ago, which is great. We'll do that one tomorrow. I think I personally like these. They're a little engaging. There's a comment section in here, so really like uh, really like this stuff. It makes studying a lot easier when you're kind of doing it with other people. So, all right, that is a stream for tonight. You have a good day.